you right now, the next time a man has a shit audacity to ask me to go around to his house before taking me out, I am robbing him. Oh, you've got a cheeky 3-5 in my pocket. You've got a stack on the floor in my pocket. You've got a lighter in my pocket. I'll teach you something about stranger danger. I'm leaving with all your shit. I'm leaving you high and dry.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll see several women sharing what they need a man to do on dates with them, another throwing a tantrum because men aren't approaching her, and what one woman did to try to get a date with a man. We invite you to smash that like button. Let's support the movement. Subscribe to the channel. That's the only contribution we ask of you, guys. Add your grain of sand to the movement. Leave your experiences in the comments for any man who might need them. And without further ado, let's get started.
Next time you go on a date, you have to ask the guy this question. So I have a theory that if a man has a really strong reaction to this question, it's a sign that he doesn't like things that he can't control, which can be a red flag because if he's a control freak and likes to control every single thing and doesn't like things that are unpredictable or can be a little bit of like... So the question is really simple, but it has a meaning, I promise. You're gonna ask him how he feels about cats. And you don't even have to tell him like that you have a cat or anything. Just be like, oh, are you more of a dog person or a cat person? Like, how do you feel about cats? Now, if he has like a pretty neutral stance and he's like, oh, I mean, cats are okay. Or obviously if he's like, oh my gosh, I love cats, I have a cat, whatever, he passed the test. But if a guy has a really strong, like, disgusting reaction towards cats, and he's like, oh my God, cats are crazy. Like, I can't stand them. They're mean. You know, like, we've all talked to somebody who has like a really strong negative reaction about cats for whatever reason. And I swear this means that those people or like that person doesn't like things that are unpredictable and that they can't control. Because dogs are pretty easy to train. But cats are a whole other story.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Gentlemen, we're failing at dates. How can a man dare to go on a date, not liking a cat, when nowadays modern women are cat moms? Every time, you have to ask about their babies. It's the first thing when you go out with a cat mom. Ask if they wear little clothes, if they clean their litter box, how old they are, where they buy their food, and while you're at it, have them tell you the brand so you know where to invest in the future, because money is spent on food. Gentlemen, we're failing. Honestly, every day I hear a new stupidity. It's just never-ending. So if you like dogs, then you're a bad man. Gentlemen, cat food is the investment of the future, but at least you can fool it. The one in the next video will leave you speechless.
So I have zero shame in telling a man that after 3 months you are paying my bills. And if you're not, bye-bye.
Oh, I can hear the hearts just breaking from here.
There's 7 billion people in the world. If you can't do it, somebody else will. So I have no shame. I'm kind of sort of trying to find somebody to bring me food every once in a while. Like, talking to a guy and I said, yeah, after 3 months you pay my bills. And he said, no.
That's not surprising at all, because it sounds like that man actually has some self-respect.
Like, a guy knows. Like, oh, if I really like her and she's not crazy, yeah, I would pay her bills. Maybe I threw it out there too soon.
Maybe you just shouldn't have thrown it out there at all.
Men don't understand the investment and the benefit and how we're trying to make sure that we're not getting played. I can't help you, men. Don't talk to us. You're not the one. We're not talking to brokies.
Fortunately, not all women think like this. But unfortunately, it is the ones that do that tend to speak the loudest, and are the main reason that a lot of men are choosing to remain happily single.
Woman, that plan doesn't work. What you should do is come with a price tag. Let me explain. 2 hours with me, $200. For a certain yoga position, add $100. If you choose the 5-hour package, including the doggy-style yoga position, $500. But better yet, with the purchase of the 15-day plan for $1,300, you have the right to come to my house every night for an hour. If you pay the rent of $2,500, 2 hours every day for a month, with some extra perks. So take advantage of the cost and benefit offer I'm giving you. Gentlemen, nowadays women only see men as ATMs, so you have every right to ask for your benefits. Then they're the ones who get offended when a man suggests they come over to his place to watch Netflix. We're just transactions for modern women. She's surprised that the guy told her no and acts offended. I'm telling you, it's better to go on a date with a pricing plan. That way, you can just buy the packages if you want. This is what a woman from the streets trying to disguise herself as a serious woman looks like. That's how all modern women think, that men are obligated to pay their bills just because they're women. Then, after 30, they wonder why they're still single, or why no one wants them, like the woman in the next video.
How is it that I look like this today, yet no man wants me to be his girlfriend?
Is this a serious question? Because women just went from saying they rather pick a bear over a man. So why the hell would men approach you? Or even look in your direction? But not only that, so many women have taught men over the years that all men are predatorial, so the good men of the world gave up. And it's so funny because women will constantly say that men don't listen, but now that men are listening, y'all are wondering where the good guys are at, why they don't approach you anymore, and why men are just simply not interested. And why the hell would they be interested? They don't know if they're going to be the next subject of all men are trash content on social media. They don't know if they're going to be accused of doing something they didn't do. They don't know if they're going to be used for dates. They don't know if they're going to be manipulated and then called a narcissist. And in this particular video, she's also asking why didn't they approach her because she looks the way that she looks. But the bottom line is most women are basic. There's nothing special to them. We all look the freaking same. So yeah, you actually have to come with more than just your looks. You actually need a personality nowadays too. Okay, bye.
There's a saying that goes, you reap what you sow. When men were chivalrous, they were humiliated, even for simple things like opening a door. When a man paid for everything, he was accused of being oppressive. When a man paid for a date, he was insulted for trying to feel superior to the woman and diminishing her because she could also pay her part. So we realized that we don't have to put up with this crap, that we avoid more problems by moving on from you, by following our own lives. We no longer want to date a girl who will later make a TikTok video humiliating us. We don't want a woman to post a photo of us on social media that a group of bitter women will make our lives hell over. We're tired of being used as an ATM, being demanded extravagant weddings and expensive rings just to get the title of wife, only to be treated like garbage afterward. We're fed up with all that crap. Now, we'll work for ourselves, focus on improving our health, our financial life, becoming high-value men. We'll stop rescuing ungrateful women who you make sure to give everything to, only for them to later say they were with an abusive man. Women who only want you while you're useful, and when you get sick, they're the first ones to take everything you have. We've heard what they wanted to tell us, so forget the predator and go with the bear. You'll be better off with him.
I saw this really cute guy at the grocery store the other day.
Okay, so what happened?
So naturally, I followed him to the checkout counter, and when he gave the cashier his credit card, I peeped it to see what his name was. And then I Googled him and found his social media profiles, and I was able to tell that he was single. So I went through his friends list and I found his mother's page.
There's a word for all of this.
And then I looked through his mother's page and I saw that she was a member of this book club that's in my area. So I sent a request to join the book club. So I went to the book club meeting and I met his mom there, and we bonded over some books that we both liked. And she just thought I was so nice.
Little did she know.
And I brought it up randomly in conversation that I was single, and she let me know that she had a son that was single also that lived in the area, and maybe it would be cool for us to get together and chat sometime. So I gave her my number, which she gave to her son, and this morning he texted me and asked if I'd like to get together this weekend and do something. So I guess we're gonna go on a date. I'm really excited.
My goodness, just think, one could have avoided having to put on that entire ruse if one would have just walked up to the guy and started a conversation, and maybe one would have gotten his number that way. I can't imagine how thrilled he's going to be to find out the actual details of how you actually met.
Oh, hell no!
Or even better, imagine the mother's face finding out how this crazy woman tracked her son. She's probably over the moon to have her as a daughter-in-law. Gentlemen, this is worrying. This bitch is crazy. Here I want to highlight two things. Firstly, it's a myth that men are the hunters. The real hunters are women. A woman will make everything easy for the man she genuinely feels attracted to. That's why you see these guys using dating apps being successful on them. They see how these women even invite them to their homes without them doing anything because she will pave the way for the man she likes. Secondly, getting into the topic, what this woman did is not just harassment, but worse because she's not in jail. Imagine if it had been a man doing all of that to pursue a woman. This man would have been all over the New York Times. Women watching the video would have labeled him as a harasser or some kind of pervert, or the favorite word of many now, a predator. Gentlemen, consider the number of women who go out like this just to meet you. What would happen if you leave her, cheat on her, or if you end up having something with her? I don't even want to imagine it because nobody can tell me that what she did is normal. That's the behavior of a harasser.
I think my least favorite question to be asked by a man is, how are you still single? I get that some men are saying it as a compliment, but most men are saying it with the implication of like, what's the hidden baggage? Actually, I did once have a man ask me literally verbatim what the baggage I was hiding was. And I wish that they did really want to know. Because if they wanted to know, I could tell them that a relationship with a man is not the prize. Commitment in general is not the prize. And I don't say that to mean all men are trash or a relationship isn't something that I want. Instead, I say that to mean I spent the entirety of my 20s in relationships with men that significantly decreased my quality of life. In fact, your choice in partner is probably the single most important choice you can make. It affects your health, both mental and physical, because those UTIs, girl, they're telling you to run. It affects your money, your productivity, just your happiness. And that is the prize for me. Happiness, joy, enjoyment. I want to enjoy my life. And that means a partner that makes it joyful and makes it easy. Easier than it is right now. If you're not making my life easier or happier, if it is harder to communicate or make plans with you than it is a girlfriend, for example, if you are making me feel at all stressed or unsure or confused, if you are not making me feel like the most beautiful human to walk the earth, why would I want that? That's not a prize, it's a liability. Because the price of the bag is going up. And I worked really hard to get here. So yeah, that's what I would say if they really did want to know. I don't really think that they want to know, so I just feed them some line like, I'm really picky, or I'm really selective. Which I am, but that's not what I mean.
Here we go again with the purse thing. Let me tell you something, it's nice to feel like you have a lot of perceived value, but just because someone wants you doesn't mean it increases your value. Your value is determined by the sexual marketplace. Don't get me wrong, every person is valuable, but there's a difference between your value as a person and your value in the dating market. Now, why do I say this? Men wonder when they see a good-looking woman who's single, especially when she says she spent her 20s in relationships with men. That tells us you've probably been with several chads, men who bring nothing to the table but their seed. That tells us there's a high body count. You might say those were the men you saw as partners, but that doesn't count what they were just for flings. And that tells us that nobody wanted to stay with you, that there's some problem there. Listen to how it affects my health and my money. In several videos, I've seen that nowadays, women only bring their presence to the table. When they refer to money, it means they're missing out on the chance to be with a better man than you, who would give them more money. And when it comes to productivity, it means they're wasting years of their lives. What women value most are the years they invest with you because the older they get, the harder it is to get the ring or the beta provider who will provide long-term financial security. So gentlemen, ask why she's single if she's in her 30s. It's better to find out why she's hit the wall, because the wall doesn't forgive.
People have asked me if my big brother is supportive that I do sex work. At the end of the day, he's happy that I'm happy, but he benefits too. My brother is turning 23 next week. I balled out just a little. On a for real note, he's never really had super nice things, and it is so nice to get to ball out on my family for their birthdays and Christmas. All my homies eat.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we will see how some women talk about leaving marriage, as a divorce recovery counselor for moms tells women to leave their marriage if they are married to a good man. We want to invite you to smash that like button. Let's support the movement. Subscribe to the channel. That's the only contribution we ask of you. Man, add your grain of sand to the movement. Leave your experience in the comments for any man who may need it. And without further introduction, let's begin.
No one talks about divorcing a good guy. I've been divorced twice, both of which were my decision, and neither one of them were abusing me or cheating on me. That doesn't mean there wasn't a pile of other reasons as to why we couldn't maintain a healthy relationship. You deserve to be happy. And I'm proud of you for taking responsibility for your happiness and doing something about it. So stop beating yourself up.
The reason why nobody's talking about divorcing the good guy is because they know how it makes them look and they oftentimes live to regret it. And the bottom line is that it is extremely disappointing for men to hear stories like this because it tells them that they could be an amazing man, but this is how they could still end up. The woman that they love and that they said vows to and that she said vows back to him could just decide she's not happy and she leaves him. Ladies, what so many men would love for you to understand is that they don't do that to you. Men do not leave good women simply because they aren't happy. Because most men understand that if they are not happy and yet they have a good woman, it is a him problem. A lot of women, unfortunately, do not think the same way when it comes to their own happiness because they put it on the man to make them happy. These are women that will be in the cycle of finding a new man and being happy for a short amount of time, but then eventually, over time, they become unhappy because they're unhappy with themselves. So for you men listening, my biggest piece of advice is to make sure that you're with a woman that is naturally happy with herself. Trust me.
Gentlemen, if you see that she is a divorced woman with children, always analyze or ask why her marriage ended. If you hear that it was all the man's fault and she did nothing, that she left even though he was a good man, it means that this woman takes no responsibility in the relationship. This woman has destroyed the lives of two men who trusted her and gave her a ring. To me, this woman is a gold digger, clearly because she divorces them without any reason, but she won't walk away empty-handed. There are women who treat this like a sport, moving from marriage to take men's assets. That's why I support abolishing no-fault divorce, to end this mess where a woman marries you, leaves you without any reason, and still has rights to your assets. Because of things like this, I always tell men to have a prenup and never lose your personality for a woman. There are men who are truly fine alone, having fantastic lives that they leave behind to be with a woman who, after turning you into that good man, leaves you because she no longer feels those alpha emotions in you. But the next video explains it better than I can.
Remember this?
If your husband is a good guy, but you're ready for divorce, you're not a bad person.
She describes herself as a divorce recovery coach for moms, whatever that is. And understandably, she made that video because, well, she's trying to drum up business. And what better way to do so than by making moms feel good about leaving their husbands? And that's perfectly fine. But apparently she's not too happy with some of the responses she's getting from the husbands.
Men are losing their mind over a recent video that I made.
So a man taking a few moments to express his opinion on the matter is losing his mind?
Your spouse doesn't have to be abusive in order for your feelings of wanting to leave to be valid.
Actually, I don't have a problem with this. I actually agree with her. No one should be in a marriage that they are not happy in. But
there are dozens of reasons why marriages fall apart.
Okay, let's hear some of those reasons, but let's also keep in mind her business is a divorce recovery coach. So without a divorce happening, she can't make money.
Here are some examples. Financial problems.
Financial problems. Well, pretty much every marriage experiences financial problems at some point. So the first step to do, file for divorce.
Growing apart. Communication.
Both of those issues are common in every marriage at some point. Heck, in every relationship, no matter what kind it is, at some point. So the first solution, file for divorce.
Addiction. Too much arguing.
Again, I agree. Those are valid reasons. However, shouldn't the first solution be trying to find a way to work through them?
Lack of emotional or physical intimacy.
Yes. Lack of physical intimacy. You know, the one where if he's not interested, it's his fault. And if she's not interested, it's also his fault.
One spouse just isn't carrying their weight in the marriage.
The infamous, he's not carrying his weight. He's a good guy, but he's just not doing enough. So, divorce him.
Maybe you married too young or for the wrong reasons.
Again, these could be valid reasons, but I ask you this. Shouldn't those have been obvious before you got married?
Those are all very common reasons for divorce, and it doesn't make you or your spouse a bad person.
Now, I hear you, and I might agree with you except for one thing. You see, if a man used any of those as a reason for walking away from his marriage, he would be immediately vilified and accused of abandoning his family. Now, let's be clear. I'm not trying to be mean to her or throw any ill will or shade at her. I just simply want to point out that she makes her living by coaching women who have been divorced. And we need to keep that in mind when she's encouraging said women to leave, by her own word, good men for what are problems that every marriage has at some point or another. And that is why men, well, to use her term, are losing their minds. Because men know that women, they're abandoning their marriages at the first sign of trouble rather than trying to work it out. So explain to me again why the hell men should get married anymore? Just saying.
The worst enemy of a woman is another woman. I once told you, happiness, like misery, is contagious. This woman is a broke single mother who wants to profit from her misery, which is why she holds that ridiculous title of advisor, one that she invented herself. It's just as he says, if there is no divorce, she doesn't make money. She's like a parasite that needs to make you sick to survive. That's why I say women are emotional beings. Emotional people tend to be susceptible to any influence. That's why emotional men tend to be weak. But here's what happens with women. If a woman is dissatisfied and is considering leaving her marriage for any foolish reason, and she listens to a video from another woman who reaffirms what she feels, she will act on emotion, regardless of what she destroys in her path. He is right that if men divorced for the reasons that women do, these men would be strongly attacked by the colorful hair movement. That's why I always tell men to be aware of who your girlfriend associates with and what content she consumes. If she is always surrounded by divorced women, whether they are mothers, sisters, aunts, cousins, or friends, it is very likely that your marriage will go through the same, because misery loves company.
No one talks about divorcing a good guy. I've been divorced twice, both of which were my decision, and neither one of them were abusing me or cheating on me. That doesn't mean there wasn't a pile of other reasons as to why we couldn't maintain a healthy relationship.
A pile of other reasons, meaning tell me you're toxic without telling me. Okay. But to also come online so proudly and so boldly as to think that you're not part of the problem while simultaneously proving that you are unable to maintain a healthy relationship, even as a coach, make that make sense. This is a perfect example of women that have zero self-awareness and are actually super selfish, because how do you come on the internet and basically admit to ruining two men's lives and you don't think you're part of the problem? And that's just two people that she married. So what about all of the men in between in her dating experiences? And what is she teaching women as a coach? I love how all of these professionals come online and think that they're like God's gift because they are coaches. But the reality is that they're taking their own personal experience and projecting that onto other people, especially women. And this is the number one reason why so many single women keep women single. And how diabolical and delulu do you have to be to come online and basically say that you ruined two men's lives and you don't think there's anything wrong with that? The same way that if women are on dating apps and a man says, oh, I've been married and divorced 2 or 3 times, you're going to immediately call him, a narcissist or toxic or delulu or all of the things. But women can come online and say whatever the hell they want, and it's perfectly normal and it's natural for her to just divorce people because she's bored and not feeling it. Let me guess, I'm sure that all men are toxic and all men are narcissists and she's not the problem at all. Okay, bye.
She is definitely a narcissist. This woman has divorced twice simply in search of excitement, nothing more. It doesn't matter if she ruins her children's lives or if she ruins the man. She doesn't care about any of that because all that matters to her is her own happiness. That's why I always tell men that your best investment will always be in yourself, because a woman never thinks of you as family. She thinks of you as some kind of product to use as long as it's useful to her. The moment she has gained enough from you, she will leave you, no matter what you say. The worst part of all this is seeing women comment things like, I left mine too. Even though he was a good father and provider, he wasn't a good husband. Or women saying, he gave me everything but I felt nothing for him. Others mocking that their ex-husband even cried for them to stay. but she wanted to leave. How do you tell a man to believe in love or marriage when you do everything right and in the end, they leave you just because you are a good man? That's why, gentlemen, uncertainty, anxiety, and instability will always be your best allies.
We talk about how hard it is to leave the good guy. When you say, I want a divorce, and he's like, no, I want to work this out. Everything's going to be fine.
Free that man so he can find his wife. I'm going to say it again. Free that good man, Savannah, so he can find his wife. Because if you're unhappy, chances are he's unhappy too. But he just doesn't know how to express it. And he doesn't want to get help clearly to change the dynamics of your relationship. And I understand that you're unhappy and your feelings are very much valid. I don't want to invalidate them. But just know that once this marriage is over with, you might not find anybody better. And that's okay. But you got to be prepared to not hold him to a high standard that nobody else can reach. And you also may need to fall in love with the idea of being alone for the rest of your days. Because you know how people say the grass ain't always greener on the other side? Well, I haven't seen too many green pastures that look appealing nowadays, okay? So you might have to fall in love with you and be okay with that for the rest of your life. But yeah, free you and free him so y'all can both be happy.
I like that expression, leave that man so he can find his wife. To every man going through a divorce, to every man who wants a relationship tomorrow, remember never to give up your life for a woman. What do I mean by this? If you were the type who used to go to the gym, liked to eat out at restaurants, bought elegant clothes, and hung out with friends for chats or barbecues, don't stop being that man for any woman. There are men who leave all their relationships for a woman, lose their shine, settle into a woman's mold, and when she leaves them or wants to leave them, they cling more to her because they have nothing, having abandoned everything for her. That is a mistake. If your woman says she wants to leave you, it's valid to say we can work it out. But if she says no, first find the best lawyer possible. Second, reconnect with your friends, work on your body, even if it hurts, everything gets better. It's tough, we all know it, but make her regret her decision. Tell her there's the door, go. No contact with her, become a better version of yourself. Let her suffer watching you be the best you can be. Trust me, you'll find something better. She will regret it. She'll come looking for you, and I assure you, you won't want her back because that's how wonderful karma is. Let it crash into the wall.
We talk about how hard it is to leave the good guy.
Why do women leave the good guy? Let's talk about it. I feel like I've been summoned here because this is what a lot of my content is about. I can't emphasize this enough. Just because somebody is a good person doesn't mean they are deserving of you. Being good does not equal compatibility. It does not equal good partnership. It just doesn't. There are good people walking around everywhere that are just not great for each other. So just because you're a good person and your spouse is a good person doesn't mean you're good for each other. You said something in your video that you downplayed that's actually a really big deal in relationships and marriages. You said he is only guilty of not putting in effort like he did in the beginning of our marriage and being lazy, just like every other marriage. No. After years of that, it will literally change how you see him. Doesn't matter if you're a man or woman, whoever's doing it. It will change how you see your partner after years of that, because it just blindly tells you they do not understand you. This is why I tell people compatibility is so freaking important. So many people are getting divorces in their late 30s, 40s, 50s because they're realizing the people they married when they were young, they truly did not have a lot of compatibility with. That person doesn't know them. They don't know their triggers. They don't know their past. They don't even know how they like to have sex. So when you said he just doesn't understand you, you are right. You are not crazy. You're not crazy. So many people are manipulated into staying in marriages because the other person's a good person. Well, what good is that going to do if you stay in a marriage for years and years and years and years and years with someone who doesn't understand you, they don't know how to communicate with you, your sex is terrible,
And you're just showing up because they're financially providing and they think that's enough. I'm telling you, when you find someone who loves your soul, someone who loves you, not just to love you, but they love you because they understand you, they get you, and they love every part of you, it's different. I left a marriage that people from the outside looking in probably thought was a great marriage, you know, like he would bring flowers every week, he'd make me coffee, he was just an all-around good guy. Yes, we had our problems individually and together, but he was a good guy, and everybody knew he was a good person because he is. And none of that mattered because our marriage was toxic. Our communication sucked. I over-communicated, he under-communicated really badly. We did not even like the same things, have the same enjoyments in life. Everything I loved, he actually hated. So I was married to a good guy who didn't even understand me and actually probably truly loved me for me. So you're not crazy for wanting to leave the good guy, because being a good guy does not equal being good together.
You know, once a female friend told me something, and I believe it 100%. She said, if you don't like a man in intimacy, he could give you the sun and the stars, and you still won't like that man no matter how well he treats you. We really see this with Chad, a man who brings nothing to the table but his seed. This man mistreats her, makes her live a tough life, in some cases cheats on or physically abuses her. He's a terrible man, but still, they are crazy about him because this man drives her wild in intimacy. Besides that, he gives her uncertainty, anxiety, and instability. He puts her on an emotional roller coaster, something women become addicted to. This woman talked about intimacy in her divorce because the guy treated her well, but she didn't like him in bed. The difference between men and women is that men have in their primal DNA the urge to solve problems. Women don't. A man can have a wife who is bad in bed, but still stays married, thinking he can fix that. A woman, as soon as there is a problem, doesn't want a solution. She wants out. That's why you hear the saying, she doesn't want you to solve her problems. She wants you to listen. So remember, don't put her on a pedestal. Don't lose your identity for a woman.
Anybody else realize that children born in 2023 potentially live to see the year 3000?
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll see how modern women complain about dating nowadays, how many regret it when they hit the wall, having to struggle to find a husband. We want to invite you to smash that like button. Let's support the movement. Subscribe to the channel. That's the only contribution we ask of you. Man, add your grain of sand to the movement. Leave your experience in the comments for any man who needs it. And without further introduction, let's begin.
This is for all my single people, so if you are not single, just keep scrolling. Can someone tell me why in like modern dating or dating right now, we're talking on apps, talking on Instagram, you're sliding in, whatever, but no plans are being made? I don't know about you guys, but I'm not looking for a pen pal. I'm looking for a husband. So what's going on?
The crazy thing about dating is that men will never date a girl they think is ugly. When have you ever heard a man say, oh, I really like this girl, she has a really good personality, but she's kind of fucking ugly? Never. So why do we do it? Trust me, I've done it, you've probably done it, when there's a guy and you're like, he's not really my type, he's not really that cute, but he has a really good personality, so I'm gonna give it a try. And they end up being a piece of shit anyways. I'm sorry, but I'd rather be crying over a super fine-ass man than a guy that I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll give him a chance. Stop.
She's right to cry over Chad. It's your right. But don't complain later when the man, having worked, moves on to a younger, beautiful, and fertile woman, because let's be completely honest, the idea that a woman says, I like him, I'll give him a chance, is a complete fallacy. That man clearly brings something to the table, whether it's money, good looks, or social skills. She wouldn't choose you just because of your nice feelings. But the man knows it. He's not bothered by it. He just does the work. But what bothers the woman is that the man won't accept her if she doesn't do the work. If you're an unattractive woman, you should at least be kind to the man, contribute acts of service and good treatment, or bring money to the table, but many only get upset when Chad rejects them for not having what's required. So, men, you should also have your standards. As for the girl who can't find a way out, she should check which men she's talking to because Chad has many lined up. There's no day to go out with you. I recommend lowering your standards if you want a husband because you're hitting the wall, and the wall doesn't forgive.
If he wanted to, he would. Listen to me. The guy I'm with right now, I met him when I was going through my divorce. I was married for 5 years, and I literally believed I would never be loved again. I'm not worthy of being loved. I literally was a mess. And I met this guy. Okay, and he's been trying to take me out on all these dates, and I was just, no, I'm not ready. And I'm like, just text him. I was so sad, but I just had this feeling like, this guy you need in your life. And that's what I said. And so I sent him a text message, and I go, hey, I think I just need you in my life. He responds with the restaurant he's taking me to and the time he's picking me up in the day. And he picks me up, and we go on the date like that next weekend, and he lives 2 hours away. So he drove 2 hours, took me on the date, dropped me off, and drove 2 hours back home. From then on, he never missed a weekend. Every single weekend, he would come up and see me. 2 hours, drive 2 hours to me every single weekend and see me. One night, I was feeling really sad about like stuff I was going through. I was just super emotional. I was like, I need to go to Target, as we do, and I need to cry in the parking lot. I don't even need anything. I just can't be around him because I just feel, I don't know, like embarrassed. So I ended up telling him like, hey, I'm going to Target, like, do you need anything? He's like, oh no, I'll come with you, like just being sweet. I'm like, oh no, it's really okay. And he's like, no, I'll come with. I go, okay. I'm like, okay. And so we go to the Target parking lot, and I'm like, my heart's beating on the way there. I'm like, I just want to cry. And we get in the parking lot. I go, I literally don't need anything. I just was coming here because I have a lot on my mind, and I just don't want to put that on you. Like, you don't deserve that. I start sobbing. This guy starts crying next to me, sobbing, and he holds my face like this. And he's like, you are worth it, and you deserve so much. And he's crying while this is happening. And he's like, I just want to be around for the day that you see your worth. And he's like, so you don't need anything in Target? Like, we keep talking. I'm like, no. And he's like, okay, I'll be right back. Goes in Target, gets me Ben and Jerry's, comes back to the car. He's like, let's go home. I go, okay. I'm like, so what's happening? Right? And then we go home, and I eat the entire carton of Ben and Jerry's while he like rubs my back, and I pass out. And it's just sweet because he writes me letters all the time, and I just got a letter from him that was so sweet. Like, at the end of it, it was like, P.S. I told you that you would see your worth. Just like, what?
Here, I want you to notice something. Even a married woman always has a simp lurking behind, waiting for the relationship to fail to see if he has a chance because this type, the crybaby, is all simp. He's the typical man whom she rejected in her prime. But they don't give up. They continue like mosquitoes circling around her, waiting for their chance. I must admit, a woman coming out of a divorce is a vulnerable prey. That woman will want to do things either out of revenge or distraction, and this man is being a distraction. Right now, as she left her Chad, she feels like she needs romance. Who's better for that than a simp who always comes with his romanticism? Because I told you that you would see your worth. You know what's worse? This man becomes so romantic, thinking that if he loves her like a Disney movie, she'll be more attracted to him. What ends up happening is that he wears her out. They're dating, but at some point, she mentioned having intimacy with him, not because she genuinely wants to, but just as a distraction. The moment she gets bored or doesn't want to give him anything despite all he's doing for her, the relationship will end for the simp because genuine interest is non-negotiable. If she didn't want you before, magically she won't want you now.
Men should always pay on the first date, and this is why.
Okay, let's hear why. Spoiler alert, it has to do with how much money they spent on making up their face.
There's about to be $2,000 on my face. So
how much? Oh dear. Now let's see why it costs almost $2,000 to put on one's face.
Starting with Dior Moisturizer, $135. Dior Capture View Serum, $125. Dior Primer, $50. Armani Primer, $46. Polish Filter, $49. Chanel Liquid Highlighting Drops, $57. Dior Foundation, $57. Dior Concealer, $40. Chanel Bronzer, $60. Chanel Multi-Use Stick, $50. Chanel Blush Stick, $54. L'Oreal Highlighter, $27. Chanel Powder, $56. Dior Bronzer, $50. Dior Highlight, $50. Dior Backstage, $48. These Dior Blushes, $80 total. Dior Backstage, $52. Eyeshadow, $68. Dior Eyeliner, $35. $68. Bamboo Stone, $24. Eyeliner, $35. Eyelash Curler, $35. Dior Mascara, $33. White Sun Mascara, $35. Royal Lip Liner, $24. Charlotte Tilbury Liner, $25. Chanel Lip Duo, $48. Chanel Lip Gloss, $40. Urban Decay Setting Spray, $36. Total cost is $1,745. If you're a girl, make sure the man pays. Don't waste $2,000 on nothing.
Now that we've seen that, let's take a look at the before and the after. Now, it's just my opinion, but I actually do believe that most gentlemen would prefer how one looked before. Spending almost $2,000 to apply product to one's face just in an effort to try to impress someone on a first date, no less. Because it really does speak volumes that someone would spend that amount of money just to try to impress someone. And indeed, it says that women really don't do that for themselves. They do that for men.
It's funny because it's true.
Here's an example that being pretty doesn't mean being smart. Firstly, those products last for several months. I'm sure you won't finish them on a first date. Besides, you can use cheaper products since the difference won't be noticeable. Secondly, the reality is that men prefer to see a natural face rather than seeing you with so much makeup that you look like a clown. With what you've put on, it's better to take you to a pool. Another thing is that they say they don't need male attention, but if they spend $2,000 to try to impress a man on a first date, they're mainly seeking that approval.
I'm just getting on here for all the girlies who are in their 30s. I'm 33, turning 34 next month, and I'm just fucking done dating. Like, excuse my language, but I'm done. Like, for a while there, I was on a kick for the younger guys because that was all that was hollering at me, because I must say, I think I look pretty good for being 33. So I was like, okay, I'm done with the young ones. Like, they're too immature. Like, I'm looking for something more serious in life. They're not doing it for me. Cool, whatever. I reunite with an ex that I was with when I was 22, and this was like always the one who got away from me. Mind you, he is 3 years older than me, gonna be 37 in January. This man is emotionally unavailable. So they're too immature in their 20s, and then they're possibly still emotionally unavailable in their 30s. I understand why my mom is 60 years old and still single and just said forget it, because that's what it's about to be.
The wall doesn't forgive. When they're young, they don't heed the advice to marry a good man, a man you can build with. They don't want a winner. They go out with every Chad they find. When they realize the guys they left behind are now that winner, they say they're not emotionally available. It's not just that the man moved on from you. He wants a younger woman, not a 33-year-old who didn't listen to him when she was at her best. That's why I always tell them the beauty of doing the work, that sooner or later, it will yield results. She wonders why her mother remained single at 60. Apparently, it's a family where women can't keep a husband. What I'd advise is to do the opposite of what your mother did, because your biological clock is ticking. You must hurry because you're hitting the wall, and the wall doesn't forgive. Or adapt to having a cute cat.
I don't know who needs to hear this, and please do not get mad at me for this advice, because it is something that I wish someone told me many, many years ago. Choosing to move in with your significant other because you already spend all of your nights together is not a reason to move in together. Like, I'm gonna go as far as saying that it shouldn't even be on your pro list. It's just kind of irrelevant to the situation. When I was 23 and moving in with someone for the first time, so 6 years ago, that was the reason for moving in together. And it did not occur to me that that was problematic. Have the actual conversation around why you want to move in together. It should be because you want to bring your lives together and you want to start a new chapter and advance your relationship. But if it's for convenience, saving money, or because it just makes sense, then you should probably keep discussing it.
I'm going to tell you something. To every man who at some point wants to move in with a woman, Put tests on that woman. Simple things like when you go out to eat, see if she ever makes the gesture of paying for something, or if she has ever invited you. See if she ever gives you gifts or is grateful for what you do for her. Also, simple things like when she's talking on the phone after work, say, "I haven't eaten today," or "I'm hungry, I haven't eaten anything." See if she says, "Come, I'll prepare something for you," or "Let me get you something to eat." This test is to see if the woman invests in the relationship. This man didn't do this with this woman. She's facing a reality check because she thought he would move in and do nothing. Many of these women don't even clean up after themselves at home. They don't even know how to boil water. And when you move in with them, you feel like you're moving in with a little girl who complains about everything and who only burdens you. That's why in your relationship, you should test the woman, see how she lives, if she does acts of service, how she spends her money, so you don't realize that you just threw an expense or a problem onto yourself. Learn to avoid chaos in your life.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no.
Can someone please explain to me why men absolutely lose their mind when women cut their hair? Like, the amount of men that have been in my comments or like my DMs being like, "No, why would you do this?" It's like, first of all, didn't ask. Second of all, because you're a man, your opinion isn't valid to me.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we will talk about single mothers. We will see how a woman feels proud to have 3 children from different fathers, while many complain about being single mothers, that men do not help them. We want to invite you to smash that like button. Let's support the movement. Subscribe to the channel. That's the only contribution we ask of you. Men, add your grain of sand to the movement. Leave us your experience in the comments for any man who needs it. And without further introduction, let's begin.
I'm a single mom. Of course I'm gonna get asked how many baby daddies I have. I'm a single mom. Of course I'm gonna get asked, how do I have a newborn if I'm a single mom? I'm a single mom. Of course people are going to assume that I get child support from all 10 baby daddies. I'm a single mom. Of course people assume my mom takes care of my kids 24/7. I'm a single mom. Of course my kid follows me to the bathroom. I'm a single mom. Of course I never have time for myself. I'm a single mom. Of course all the sleepless nights are on me. I'm a single mom. Of course I'm mom and dad 24/7. I'm a single mom. Of course people ask me, why do I keep having kids? I'm a single mom. Of course I get mental breakdowns at least once a day. I'm a single mom. Of course I get criticized for being a single mom. I'm a single mom. Of course, at the end of the day, I'm proud of myself for doing it all by myself.
Oh, you're a single mother because of course you chose the wrong father for your children, but since you don't want to take responsibility for your actions, because that's kryptonite for you, I'll blame men for opening their legs to Chad. You're a single mother if you saw that the relationship wasn't going well with the first child. Why in the world would you have another one? Oh, because the second one is the good one. But you say you have 24 hours of work, so how do you support yourself as a single mother? Oh right, government assistance, clearly child support. But of course the man doesn't contribute anything. It makes me laugh that they know what would come if they have a child with an irresponsible man, but still have the children. So when things go wrong as they saw coming, they want men to feel sorry for them. Play the card that they were looking for Chad's seed. Then beta provider raises them and it's not working for them anymore because men are waking up. They don't want to take care of someone else's children, but as I said, taking responsibility is kryptonite for them. If you don't believe me, watch the next video.
This is my first baby daddy, Ace. He is a fucking ladies man. He is fine as hell. Bitches, I had to fight everybody over this man. But I was number 1, so it didn't matter. I truly believed if he wasn't murdered that we would have had all of our kids together and we would probably still be together till this day. Only because the simple fact is I'm a dumb bitch and he's in love with me. But whatever. I would give him a 7 out of 10. I don't really like that he was like always in the streets, but so I give him a 7/10. Love him to death still to this day. 0 out of 10 for dying. That was fucked up. Really fucked me up with that one. This motherfucker here. This is my second baby daddy. Too tall. He's a piece of shit. I think he has a few other kids. I've tried to find family members of his or baby mamas or anything to kind of connect him to my son, to his family. Cannot find anything. No one's ever reached out to me. No one gives a fuck. He hasn't seen his son literally since he was like 2 or 3, 4 months old. He's only seen his son like 2 times. Didn't come to the delivery, even though I called his phone, asked him to come. Gave me $80 when I had the baby, and that's all the money I've ever gotten from him. He's been on child support for like 3 years and haven't seen a dime. So he's a loser. 0 out of fucking 10. Awful. Would not recommend. This is my third baby daddy, White Mike. Love the guy. Great guy. Cheater, but a great guy. Good stepdaddy, takes care of his family, pisses me the fuck off. Ready to fight him. I give him a 8 out of 10. He's alright. That thing. Good. He ain't got no other kids, no problems there. He's just a fucking weirdo. Anyways, what did I give him? 8 out of 10? 9 out of 10? Yeah, though. He be giving me that money.
You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. Y'all heard it.
But as I said, they are the victims. Honestly, taking responsibility for their actions is kryptonite for women. They go from one Chad to another. Even worse, then another Chad comes along. She has a child with each of them. Those are the men she had children with. Imagine the ones she didn't. When you come to see, that body count is above 50. But then you hear them say, I deserve a good man. 2 things. A woman's past matters. Don't get involved with single mothers. Don't take on another man's sin. All those guys were classic Chad types. None of them were provider or hardworking. No, they don't like that. She only likes the seed of Chads. She's happy counting her misfortunes as if it were some kind of achievement. Kevin Samuel was right. You can't make up this shit.
He then said that he wanted the DNA test. And it was, why do you want a DNA test? Oh, no, because she cheated on me. That's not my kid. You know that that's your kid. I will never give you a DNA test. That's not going to happen. Because I know, of course not.
But if he's asking for it.
I will not go it. I did my research. I will never, ever give him a DNA test. You will need to take me to court. I will never. Because then that's me justifying your lie.
But also, like, giving so? But I don't think it's justifying the lie. I think if you don't trust me about that, here it is. It's like this.
But he knows that this is his. He knows so much that he had reached out to his brother, and his brother had contacted me. And his brother was like, hey, I've been talking to him. He wants to know if you'll do a DNA test. And I told him. And I even sent him the text messages. He knows that this is his kid. I have everything in text.
No, okay, I see what you mean.
I will not get a kid. For what? You look at my kid now.
This is it.
No, because you knew.
Yeah.
You know for a fact that this is your kid, even without seeing him.
Yeah.
You know that this is your kid. And then for you to go and say that now, okay, let me see how far I could go with this lie. Let me get her to do a DNA test so then I could tell all of my family I wasn't there and you guys weren't there because I didn't know it was my kid. That is BS. That's a lie.
Yeah, but I also feel like it's like, you think it's a lie? That's what I'm saying.
No.
Then you don't think it's yours, let's just do it then.
Pero all I have to do is show you my kid. You see my kid, and my kid looks identical to you.
I know.
And then he wanted me to do a DNA test while I was pregnant. You can't do that. Only one with blood. And why would I go and put the effort into it when I know that he's lying and he knows that he's lying?
But then he could say, well,
I can't listen to it anymore. I don't even know what the fuck she was talking about. I did what research? I did my research. He's lying. I could show you my kid. They look like his brother even. it was so much a bunch of word salad going on. I didn't even know. I was still waiting to hear the concrete proof that that's his kid. I got text messages of me and his brother talking and all this. Like, what? The fact that she said he got to take her to court for him to get a simple DNA test. No, you don't. Get the kid. Matter of fact, they got these little test kits on Amazon you could order. Swab the kid, swab yourself, send it in, you get it back in, you get the results back in 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever. I don't know how long it is. But he don't need to take her ass to court. And like, that's the type, fellas, that's the type of woman that you just like, bro, y'all gotta stop impregnating these women, man. Y'all gotta start really vetting and doing y'all research and talking to these women. Just let them talk. And then you will hear their mindset on how they speak. Like, what? Take me to court? Like,
I told you some time ago, these women are not trustworthy. That's why I tell every woman, these are my conditions. If we have a child, I will do a DNA test. We do it when the baby is born with your consent, or I will do it myself within the year without your consent. But the test will be done. That's simple. Create a precedent in her mind. Because look at this woman, defensive about this. No one tells me she's not hiding something. Because we don't even have the test yet, and she already looks guilty. Women nowadays talk to you and several others. I won't say they're all like that, but this is the time we live in. You can't just sit there with your mouth open thinking it will never happen to you. All the men it's happened to thought the same as you. She loves me. She would never do that to me, and bam, she did. And it's tough to see that you raised a child who's now 10 to 20 years old, or even 3 years old. You have them as your baby, only to find out that child isn't yours, that it was from a Chad she cheated on you with, that you've been raising his seed for years, as this brother says, by your kit from Amazon. Say it to the woman before entering a relationship. Create a precedent, because then she'll be afraid to trap you with a child. Tell her these are my red lines. You accept them or you leave. But don't let her make you raise another man's sin.
Not keep doing everything around the house. I am starting to feel like what people call a married single mother. How can you be married and a single mother? That doesn't even make sense. Plus, when I met you, you were a single mom. I know I was a single mom, but you know what? When I was a single mom, I only had 2 kids instead of 3. Here's the 3rd kid. It's not me. Feels like you're an extra kid because I'm having to clean up your messes because you are not participating in keeping this house clean. You leave your clothes on the floor. You leave dishes all over. The other day you came home and your shoes were all muddy, and instead of taking them off outside or in the garage, you tracked mud through the house. Honestly, it's worse than having a 3rd kid because you're bigger. You make bigger messes. I'm working. I am exhausted. And I'm working too. But on top of that, I'm taking on the majority of the household and childcare duties. So while you come home and get to sit down on the couch and watch TV and relax, I don't get that time for myself. If you need a break, why don't you just take it? Whenever I take a break, you're constantly texting me, asking what to feed them, what they need to wear. So it's not a break for me.
Here's the never-ending argument. A smart woman knows how to organize her home. If both of you work, why not pay for a cleaning service twice a month? They'll do a better job and leave the place organized. Why not prepare meals for the whole week? Why not both organize? But no, it's better to complain about everything the man does, of course, except for paying the expenses of a house with 2 kids who aren't even his. Because those kids are going to eat, they're going to make a mess, they need to be taken care of, medical bills need to be paid, the house needs to be maintained. All of that is going to fall on a man who added the burden of another, who in the end will only be complained about. The worst part is, you won't be treated as a priority because you just joined in. You're not the one who created that home. Every single mother already has her dynamic with her children, already has all her attention on her children. It's valid. They're her kids, but they're not yours. What you need from a woman, you'll only get half of it because she doesn't have time for you. Besides, you have to try to get along with her kids. If they're unruly little brats, or if there's a Chad trying to get back with his woman, you'll be living in hell, worst of all, while bearing all the expenses.
One stereotype I absolutely hate about Muslim men is that I was going to become a married single mother after I birthed my baby. That is basically someone who believes that all of the caregiving of the child relies on the mother because it's just not their job as a father. And I think for a lot of people, the general assumption is if that mother needs help, then it's the women in the family who will be supporting her. Particularly hear a lot of, you will never see me doing those jobs, it's just not for a man to do. But I can't express how far away from that my husband was. I mean, don't get me wrong, obviously there were times when we were both tired and we would probably argue about who does what. I've never had to have an argument about why he should get involved or do something. He gets up with her in the night, he gets her changed, he chooses her outfits for the day. Most important one is he will take her out for the day without me even asking. He will make those plans because he wants to. Don't get me wrong, there are things that I think could be improved. Like the mental load is just always on me. But I just hate the stigma that dads get in general, especially Muslims, because he can't be further away from that if he tried. Obviously, there are so many people out there that don't show up and give them that name. Very fortunate to have a present and caring father. And I'm so grateful that I get to experience that in him as someone whose father passed away when she was very young, because it just shows to me that they are out there. And I hope this doesn't come across in the wrong way. I just wanted to put something out there that praises dads, because I know it's very like far and few. These videos that you see, it's always what they're doing wrong or what they could improve on. And it is definitely a cultural thing, because even speaking to people in his family, they're always very shocked at what he does and the amount he contributes to things in the household and like everyday care with her, such as changing her nappy.
This man is becoming the nice guy. She starts by saying, "This man is amazing. He helps me with the kids, with household chores, he works, he gives me everything," until she gets bored with him, seeing that the man has lost all his masculine polarity, feeling like she's married to a feminized man. But doing household chores doesn't make you less of a man. No, it really doesn't. But doing everything for the woman makes her lose attraction towards you. The men who do all of this are the ones who end up getting divorced more often. A man cannot lose his masculinity by doing everything for the woman. The man should help her, of course. It's a time when both are needed, but taking care of the economic side, as well as cleaning and taking care of the children, that man is losing all the respect of the woman. She'll tell you she loves a man like that, but the reality is that comfort bores women. Later, when she leaves him, you'll hear her saying he was a perfect man, but I wasn't happy, because as I said, comfort is boring for women. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. What do you think about asking women for a DNA test? What do you think about a woman who has 3 children from different fathers being wife material? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from the wall.